talking to y'all about Hurricane Katrina. Imagine yourself in this place whenever the storm hit. Now imagine yourself surviving this hurricane and going through all the floods and catastrophe that these guys went through. And one person has done that. They chose to remain unnamed, but this testimony comes from someone who survived the storm in New Orleans, which is where 80% of the storm damage was, according to history.com. The testimony is this: we stayed, my fault, gotta say that first. We got a solid 2-story brick house out in Gently, had it for 6 years and had never been flooded before. Never got the least bit of water since we've been there. Plus, I had laid the new shingles myself and the roof is solid. 3/4 inch treated plywood underneath, so I figured we'd be fine. We was until the levees broke, then the water started coming out so fast we had to scramble upstairs from the first floor. This is just one experience for many of the people that decided to stay instead of evacuate. So now that we talked about some experiences that people had during Katrina, let's talk about the facts. Hurricane Katrina nearly killed 2,000 people and affected some 900 square miles in the whole United States, according to history.com. And Southern Medical Journal states that Hurricane Katrina produced the largest evacuation due to a natural disaster in United States history. And USA Today says that 2005's Katrina remains the costliest hurricane on record at $160 billion. The second most costly hurricane is Hurricane Harvey, which we learned from Katrina. So this is where Hurricane Katrina was going through. It was created in the Bahamas, kind of went through the peninsula of Florida, and then it hit the southern states of the United States. So how and where Katrina was formed? Katrina was formed in the Bahamas. It started off as a tropical depression, and on August 23rd, it changed to a tropical storm. After that, it was on its way to the Florida Peninsula when it strengthened into a Category 1 hurricane, which is around 74 miles per hour winds. And then once it was off the Florida Peninsula, it went into the Gulf of Mexico. And since the Gulf of Mexico has warm waters, it started strengthening up, and its peak of strength was a Category 5 hurricane, which is roughly 156 miles per hour winds. So once it was done, once it hit its peak, it started coming towards the southern states of the United States. And by the time it hit Louisiana and all those other states around it, it was a Category 3 hurricane. And it dissipated into below hurricane level in August 29th of 2005. So the damage that was caused, Katrina is the nation's 3rd most destructive hurricane that the U.S. has ever had, but it's the most costliest. And the property damage it caused was around $81 billion, but the total economic damage caused was around $160 billion. 800 housing units were destroyed or damaged in the storm. And this isn't just homes, this is companies and law firms and all the other types of stuff that a city needs to thrive. Millions of people were left homeless, and not just people, but factories, businesses, and all the other economic structures that they have. Some of the casualties that they had is Katrina nearly killed 2,000 people. And at the time of the storm, 1,200 people were confirmed dead, but 800 other people were lost and later presumed dead. And over 600,000 animals died or were stranded in the hurricane. And this isn't just because the owners decided to just leave them there, but the owners thought they would be coming back in a few days whenever the mayor decided to evacuate the whole city or state. Now for the aftermath. For the cities that struggle to rebuild, there's lots of challenges they face, which are limited power due to limited communication due to limited power. There was lots of crime and chaos, and that just kept on going up because the places that were abandoned from the hurricane were used for criminal activities. So the lesson that we learned is we got to prepare for all types of storms of all levels. We're never sure how bad a storm is going to be. And to ensure that we have effective communication, we need to have backup facilities or facilities that are just easily to get back up online. Because communication is key, and without it, you're not able to talk about how you're going to face a certain problem. And at the time of Hurricane Katrina, the government was ill prepared. Assistance was slow, and it was inadequately funded and misdirected. So Red Cross and all the other organizations that were helping out, didn't know what exactly to do. Since it was their first time in a huge storm like that, they were misdirected. The states and government was slow to act on it, and we learned the lessons we learned, we showed how we learned it in Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Harvey. During Hurricane Harvey, the states helped Texas to gain funds, and the Red Cross and all the other organizations know exactly what they were doing. And this is because Hurricane Katrina was the practice, basically. So in conclusion, today I talked to you guys about the facts of Hurricane Katrina, the damage and casualties it caused, the aftermath, the testimony from one of the people that experienced Hurricane Katrina, and what we learned from it. So two things I'm going to leave with y'all today is a quote from the mayor at the time, which is, "We're not just rebuilding the city that we once were, but we're creating the city that should always been. This is more than just a slogan, it is a New Orleans way." And he said this at the 2015 State of City Address in May. So the last thing I want to leave you with is this. Think
1
about
minute.
it as if you were in their position. Of the people that were affected by this in any way,